Hello, this is Jason P. Wilson Zero in X-Force, and this is my Marvel and Independent Comic Pull List for the week of October 12th, 2011, and today's the 15th. It is a Saturday. And first up here for my Marvels is One Shot, X-Men Regenesis. Now, this definitely is not a comic you have to pick up. If you read The Schism, and you're going to be picking up the first issues of Uncanny X-Force and or Wolverine and the X-Men, you can definitely skip this if you don't want to pick up anything extra. If you did not read Schism, then you definitely want to pick this up. If you really loved Schism, and you're really looking forward to the new X books, the new relaunching, and you just want more detail, this is definitely one you want to get. Now, there are other Regenesis stuff coming out. I know there's a limited run with Magneto in it. I'm not going to get that stuff, but I am glad I picked this up. This gives a lot of detail of the characters of the X-Men and why they are picking the teams that they're picking. You get, right after Schism, you totally get these guys. They're having to make their choices. Wolverine's going to the people that he wants to go with him. So is Cyclops. But then, Scott's doing something really underhanded, and he's going behind Wolverine's back and going to the people that he talked to and talking to them again to try and get them to jump ship. Again, another freaking douche move done by Scott that's making it hard for me to like him. For a character that I really liked for a long time, Schism starts up, and now he's a total D-bag. And this issue, he's the same thing. I see his point of view. He's going to war. Wolverine's point of view is he wants to go back at not go to war, but to go back to the foundation of what Xavier wanted to do, why he founded the school of Xavier for gifted students. And go back to that. But, Cyclops and the people that are on his team, they don't want to go back. They want to go forward, and they want to go to war. So I get that. But still, man, the Cyclops have to keep on doing these jerk moves. Ugh, hate that. But I really like this. I really like seeing the perspective of all these individual X-Men and why they have chosen, for instance, Psylocke. I really didn't understand why she was not going with Wolverine. But this book explained to me why. She is a fighter, and she wants to go forward, and she sees going to the school going backward. So she wants to fight, and she thinks, even though she understands and supports Wolverine, she wants to be on Cyclops' team. Okay, there you go. Now I get it. So I got a lot of that. I got a lot of understanding of characters and why they're choosing, when I didn't really get that from Schism, and I didn't believe I was going to get that from the new titles coming out. So for that alone, it's definitely worth picking up. I want to know why these individuals are making their choices, and you definitely get that here. A very good issue, a great one-shot, and I would say X-Men does pretty good one-shot, especially when you pick up the right ones. And next up here is Uncanny X-Force. Now, Uncanny X-Force is consistently great. A very good comic. It's a high watermark, and it's the only X book that is consistently hitting its high watermark over and over and over again. 16 issues in, it has not dipped at all. It has been peaked out and white hot. This team does the best X book that you can read. If you just want to get one X book, but you want to get the best, it is definitely Uncanny X-Force. You don't need to be reading any other X book to get X-Force. You don't need to jump on to, hopefully, I probably jinxed myself, you don't need to be getting on to any of the events. If you want to keep your comic book pull list small, but you want to get the very best, this definitely has to be on your short list. It is a great comic, and this was a very, very good issue. I can't say much more about how good this issue is. I don't like spoiling this. Of all the comics, this is the one comic I don't like to spoil. It's that good. Definitely a must read. Okay, next up here is Generation Hope number 12. This is my last Generation Hope. I have made my choices and I have cut Generation Hope off. Mainly for the reason is, well, it's always been kind of a smaller comic, and it was only like an extra view into these characters that are already in other comics. Though this was like Hope and her personal team, so that's why I liked it. But at this point, she has decided to go with Scott and his team. So that is a team that I'm least interested in, even though I might be getting those comics at least at first. It's really Wolverine and the X-Men for me. Number one, the artist and team that's on that is just, I'm really looking forward to that artwork and that writing. Uncanny X-Force, I saw a preview for. I'm sorry, Uncanny X-Men. Excuse me, I'm mixing up names. Uncanny X-Men, I saw a preview for. And you know what? It didn't look that great. I thought the artwork looked kind of blah. And I didn't even like what was going on in it. I was kind of disappointed. Though I saw previews for Wolverine and the X-Men, and it got me really excited. So Wolverine and X-Men is definitely the book I'm getting. And I'm struggling whether I'm going to get what I thought I was going to get, and that is the relaunching of Uncanny X-Men. She's on that team, so I'm assuming the people that went with Wolverine will not be on this book anymore, I'm guessing. And she and the people that are will probably, I don't know, continue on this book. So that was enough for me to drop it, as well as I kind of got this issue, even though it's already out of my saver. I kind of picked this issue up as kind of like the last issue to kind of wrap things up in my my run. So it's a good comic. The artwork is never the best, but it always does its job. The writing is always the special part of this book. So if you're thinking about getting it, I definitely recommend it, but it shouldn't be on anyone's short list. Unless you just really like Hope Summers, which I did for a while. Still do, but it's run its course with me. Okay. The Amazing Spider-Man is Part 5, Spider Island. After Part 4, I was so excited to get this book. And knowing Amazing Spider-Man comes out so quickly, and I was not disappointed at all. It came out, I ate it up like candy, and delicious. It is great. First of all, great cover, one of my favorite covers of the week. Again, I'm just loving Spider Island. I was done with Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man. I like Spider-Man, but it didn't make my short list, and then I forced myself to read Spider Island, mainly because I loved the team that did the Big Time Spider-Man. So I said, you know what, this would be a great last run to read on Spider-Man. This would be a great way to round up my run. But it's been so good, and I've been enjoying myself so much. It's actually hooked me to see if after this event's over, if they can continue to make Spider-Man fun like they've been. So I definitely will stick around at least for the next story arc. If they start to dip again, I'll be tempted to drop it. But if they got my interest again, they piqued my interest, they got me excited about Spider-Man again, and for that alone, it's worth me sticking around. Love Spider-Man, always love Spider-Man, but I love Spider-Man like this. A great issue, and probably my favorite part of Spider Island so far. Next up here is another great Spider-Man book, and that is Ultimate Comics' The All-New Spider-Man. You know, I'm a sucker for a good cover, and this is a great cover. Wow, it's beautiful. Beautiful artwork. I almost wish that this artist that's doing this cover for Ultimate Spider-Man, I wish he would do a graphic novel like of Spider-Man, because Ultimate Spider-Man, any Spider-Man, I just love how he draws Spider-Man or paints Spider-Man. Beautiful cover, and this alone was reason to pick up the issue. But luckily, this issue is a very good one. In fact, possibly the best so far. I really like what they're doing with this character, And I really wasn't expecting to like Ultimate Spider-Man as much as I am after the death of my favorite Spider-Man, Peter Parker, of course. Of course, I'm glad that I have the real Peter Parker and the real in the the main universe of Marvel. But this alternate universe of Ultimate Comics, again, Bendis has Spider-Man being the flagship of this new relaunching of Ultimate Comics. If you're getting one Ultimate comic book, it should be this one. That's as clear as I can be. I think Ultimates is great, and I'm picking that up for now. I do think that X-Men will be good in the long run. The writer, of course, Spencer, he writes Morningglories, and he's the type of writer that everything you're reading early on pays off later down the line. So for me, he's going to be a trade pickup for sure. I'm definitely excited to see what he's going to do with the Ultimate X-Men book. I like those characters. I read Ultimate X with Arthur Adams and really excited about what's going on there. Though, you know what? $3.99. These comics are expensive, so I've got to keep my picks short. But if I'm picking one, it's definitely Spider-Man. Great issue. Now, Ultimates comes in strong second. It's a really good action book. Again, also beautiful artwork. Possibly the best artwork inside the book, Ultimates. That's why it makes a great trade. Though I'm picking up the singles, at least for the first story arc. Okay, next up here is FF, Future Foundation. This is pretty much a setup issue. I kind of like how Hickman does that. He gets the action going, but then he makes sure that he really has the tension and builds it up properly. This is definitely Hickman's best work. He writes a lot. He is definitely a busy writer. Obviously, he writes the Ultimates. He writes Hawkeye. Gosh, he writes stuff with Image. And he writes FF. He writes a ton of stuff. But he definitely writes this the best. I would say action-wise, Ultimates. He writes the best action in Ultimates. But a full-rounded, balanced story, it's definitely FF. If you want Hickman's best, you must pick up FF. It is very possible, once this story arc wraps up, I will drop the book just because I don't want to get tempted to continue it. But I'm definitely finishing this run at the very, very least. I'm not sure what they're doing with the whole relaunching of Fantastic Four. If they're going to have this book turn into Fantastic Four, or if it's going to stay Future Foundation and they're going to have two books. I do not know what they're doing with that. But for now, I'm sticking with FF. But I'm definitely looking for an out. But it's a great book and definitely one of the best Marvel written books that they produce. A great series and a very good issue. No, the cover is misleading. You don't get that kind of action. Alright, those are my Marvels, and here for my independents, first up here is Morningglories. This is a great comic book. But like I said, Spencer is probably best read in trade form. So this is actually technically out of my saver, but as long as I see Morningglories when I pick up on Wednesdays, I'm going to just keep on grabbing it. I was trying to resist picking this up, but I'm so wanting to know what happens next. And what a great cover this is. So I'm totally fine with reading Morningglories on trades, but since I'm ahead of the curve now, I'll have to wait. So as long as they have extra issues when I pick up, I'm going to continue picking this up. The week that they don't have any extra will be the week that I stop picking up singles. But I love Morningglories. Definitely the best issue in a long time on Morningglories. I love this issue. It was well done and one I was waiting for. And now I can't wait to read the next one. But it's a great series. I'm just dropping it because it's easy to pick up on trade and it's super cheap. So you can pick up Morningglories on trade for $10. So it's like the easiest book to pick up on trade, I think, that Image produces. So for that alone, I forced myself to drop it from a saver. But I will keep my eye out for singles, and as long as I get the consecutive, always being extra, I think I'll continue. All right, and last here for my independence is a new comic. This is called Orchid. It's my first dark horse that I've gotten in a long time. Now I'm very, very tempted to go find the first 2 issues of Buffy the Vampire Slayer by Dark Horse. I love season 8. Love that series so much. And I'm really tempted not to wait for trades, but to find the singles. But one way or another, I'm going to be reading the 9th season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm very excited about it. But for now, only one I have here is Orchid. It was a $1 issue. It's a new series. It's written by the lead singer that was with Rage Against the Machine. So obviously, if you know his politics, it's definitely heavily infused with politics. I myself don't agree with his politics, though I do like the little man rising up against the power-hungry evil people type thing. So I do like the story. I think the characters are interesting. The world is definitely interesting. The artwork is just okay, but I wasn't expecting much from the artwork. Like, I like the story of pigs, but the artwork's actually kind of ugly. This is actually a little bit better, though. The artwork's a little bit better in here than pigs. The story is equally dark. In fact, probably more so. This is a very, very dark book, guys. This is definitely mature audiences. Its themes are definitely mature, to say the least. But let me paint this world really quickly. You basically got the waters raising, and it's flooded the earth. The rich have the highland, the poor are forced to live down by the polluted swamplands, and the beasts have taken the earth over, and they basically are mutated because of all the pollution, and they're feeding and feasting on the poor humans that have to live by the polluted water. It's definitely a dark book, a dark future. Even the main characters are all kind of jerks. There's only one guy that seems to be a nice guy. He's one of the main characters. The Orchid here, she's the title character, and so far she's a complete jerk. She's a prostitute, and when this other girl who was forced into being a prostitute, she's forced to have her first time kind of a thing. She has like no sympathy for this girl at all. In fact, tells her to shut up and stop crying. Then, you know, something happens to her at the end of this book that you feel for her a little bit, but the emotions I felt was a little unbalanced. And the writing, when it's good, sometimes is totally stupid. Other times, like, for instance, there's this mask that this rebel wore a long time ago when he rised against the rich and powerful, and that are enslaving the poor. And his name was General China. Captain America, General China. So that name was completely stupid. And it was a hood with a star on it, right? So basically the hood, now its time has passed and it has like magical powers type thing. So it's very, I don't know, it didn't seem to fit in the comics world that they tried so hard to represent here. And of course, if you're not a saint and you put on this hood, it kills you. Kind of like if the Harry Potter hat, if you put that on when you were choosing your house, if it went crazy and like killed you if it didn't like you. That's kind of what this magical mask does. So I don't know. I thought that was really stupid. I didn't like that at all, and definitely I thought the name of the character was really ridiculous. But you know, I try to ignore those things and try to see this very interesting and dark world that was painted out. It's only $1, so it was definitely worth picking up. I don't know if I'll pick up future issues, but I am interested to see what else happens with these characters. So it was definitely interesting enough to pay $1. Not sure, but may be picking up some more. And with that said, those are my Marvel and Independents for the week. I'm really interested to see if you guys picked up any of these new ones. Also, if you guys are liking Spider Island as much as me, as well as some of the other ones I showed. And with that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.